and honestly, I have my fair share of criticisms of him. Funnily enough, a few days ago I actually recorded a video where I was criticizing a point he's made several times. I was actually going to upload that video today instead of this one. Despite not really being a fan technically, a friend of mine thought that I should sharpen up my image to honor him in the creation of this video, which is ironic because in many ways I am the antithesis of Mr. Samuels. He's an image consultant, and I purposely wear white shirts to highlight that image doesn't matter as much as the ideas and comments you're putting forth. So, if I am as such the antithesis to Kevin Samuels, why am I making a video about him? I wasn't his friend, never received any coaching from him, and honestly, most of the things he said were all thoughts I've had and even said in my videos I've made years ago. Well, the answer is simple. It's honor. Something I've seen lacking in some of the responses people have had to his death. I am saddened by Kevin's death. Again, not because I was really a big fan of his, but because I believe that what was more important than what I disagreed with Kevin on was what I did agree with Kevin on. And there was far more of that than anything else. Kevin and I have a very particular style of commentary. Although his was far more blunt than mine, we were people that told the truth as we see it, be damned what anyone else has to say. I'm a softie though, and I like trying to be kind despite my rough opinions. Kevin, on the other hand, was harsh and to the point, with everyone, and that's a very important point. It was a combination of what Kevin said and how Kevin said it that led to many women, mostly black, despising his commentary. To say he was divisive is quite the understatement, really. Kevin never minced words or had much patience with some of the women that appeared on his show. If you take a look at the very clip that would slingshot Kevin into the mainstream, what else is anyone supposed to believe?
My love life is not that good. I agree with you.
That's my point, and ma'am, and that's my point. You ladies all feel like, listen, you ladies all feel like you're the exception to the rule. And then when someone like myself comes along and gives you a dose of reality, instead of just accepting it, it's like, yeah, but
I really just wanted some advice. I love your
I'm giving you advice, but you're not taking it. The advice is, ma'am, you're average looking at best.
I'm taking it in, but
okay, but you're not accepting the fact that, okay, average looking women, average looking woman who's older, average looking older woman with a 13-year-old son, average looking woman with a 13-year-old son with a sketchy baby daddy. This gets worse every time I say something. And now you're asking for a man who's in the top 10% of men. You don't qualify for one.
Of course, you'd only believe Kevin had no patience and was cruel if you only ever saw clips of his live streams. In more formal settings, like his sit-down talks with ladies, including Brittany Renner, you see a far more compassionate and controlled person. I'm not here to say Kevin was a good man, but he was a necessary one. He took a conversation that was going on for many, many years on forums and in the manosphere on YouTube and made it mainstream. He took the conversation about how terrible dating has been and made it more popular and acceptable to voice our concerns. He also made young ladies and young men face a harsh reality about themselves. That honestly, many of them weren't doing enough to deserve the outcomes they desired.
Are you living an interesting life? I mean, you're 34 working in the warehouse. What are you doing that's interesting?
I mean, I like to work out.
Okay.
I mean, I like to go out, places and visit places and stuff.
Okay, what are you doing that's interesting?
See, I didn't have none of that when I was a kid, man. I didn't go to my proms and nothing like that.
And at 34 years old, that's your responsibility to address. It's nobody's concern but your own. No one cares what you did not have. That's your problem. That's it. I didn't have a father. That's my problem. Everybody got something. How tall are you?
I'm only 5'5". Just turned.
What kind of shape are you in?
I'm overweight, working on it right now.
Okay. You got two struggles already. You can't be short and fat. About how much do you make a year?
40,000.
And how old are you? Well, almost 40. So you're underemployed too.
Yeah.
All right, bro. So short, don't have to worry about that. But your weight and your money with your confidence.
Oh.
Why would the female of the species want to take your genes and put them into the next generation? Should males like that in the animal world be able to mate?
No.
At 38 years old, is this where you thought you'd be in life?
No.
And what are you doing about it?
Working out.
No, you ain't working out your fat.
That's true.
See, this is why I have these conversations, because a lot of this stuff gets lost in the sauce when women start talking about women and these red pills and all this other kind of stuff. This ain't got nothing to do with women. See, at 5'5", you should be in shape for you. You have zero confidence, and you're a quitter. You're underperforming, and you lack ambition. You need to go enroll in martial arts or boxing somewhere and let somebody knock the shit out of you. You got a big dick?
I'm gonna leave this up about 24 hours because sometimes, guys, you just gotta get real. You gotta get ultimately real because some of you guys ain't hearing it. You can't cheat the game. You can't have 2 pennies in your pocket and expect to ball outrageous. I made that post talking about if you're single and no kids and not working at least 60 hours a week, you're lazy. Guess what? You're lazy. I don't want to hear any of this bullshit about quality of life and life is to be lived. Yeah, to be lived for average. You can live that average C life, that D life, but stop thinking you should have 8s, 9s, and 10s and be eating steak and lobster and riding good, flying good, living good. You don't want to put the work in, then don't expect the outcome. See, this is going to be a little too real for a lot of people because it's like you want to hear feel-good stuff all the time. But I would be remiss if I would not be a quality teacher if I just let you feel good all the time. See, when you...
I'm unemployed. I just started a business, and the only one I got behind me is my girlfriend. And I don't want to like...
Hold on. You invested all your money into starting this business?
Basically, yeah. I used to be a...
And you're unemployed? Driver. And you're unemployed?
Yes, sir. I kind of sacrificed everything to get one.
Hold on.
Okay, my bad.
How long have you been doing this business?
I just started. And...
What does that mean? What does that mean?
3 months. 3 months
and
ago.
You've been unemployed for how long?
Ooh, close to almost a year. It's been kind of hard to get everything together.
What city do you live in?
I moved from Birmingham, Alabama to Houston, Texas.
This is unacceptable.
Yeah, I know.
I hope you didn't come here looking for sympathy.
Oh, no. Heck no.
Do you have both your limbs?
Yes, sir.
Then why don't you have a job?
Because so long story short, I used to be
no long story. Dude, you're 29 years old saying I'm a freight broker and I've invested.
No, I'm 27. Yeah.
27, whatever. You use words like invest in business. You're unemployed living off your girlfriend.
Now, I use stock options, but I made good money off stock options, but at the same time, I lost a lot of money because I get a little greedy from here and there, but it kind of helped out too. So it's kind of been like from stock options from there and some money too.
How much are you earning a month?
Ooh, shit. About under 1,000, depending on how.
Then don't tell me damn thing about stock options. Negro, you need a job.
Yes, sir.
Get off YouTube, get off Instagram, get off TikTok, get off your ass and go the fuck to work.
Yes, sir.
However, where some young men and women took the harsh words and used them to grow, very many young women did not. Seeing how some women reacted on Twitter broke my heart, because it truly verified what I meant when I said some women have no honor. The reactions and tweets some of these ladies made came dangerously close to them dancing on his grave, mocking him for having a message they disliked, rather than trying to see beyond their hurt and offended feelings. There's criticism to be had of Kevin. Again, I have plenty. I think he had an over-focus on high-value men, the men that don't need any help getting women. I know he made it clear that average men should be with average women, but I don't think he hammered the point home hard enough. Ironically, I don't believe high-value people are above morality, so the cheating, or exercising options point was very cross to me. I also think that Kevin never challenged the women as to why they wanted these high value men in the first place. I believe he focused too much on the materialistic aspects of improving oneself, instead of working on virtue and self-discipline and honor one needs for themselves and families. But you see, that last criticism is exactly why I think we needed Kevin. We don't need people to think the same exact way. We need people to have the same virtue. Because where Kevin focused on the materialism, I always focused on the mind and the cultivation of one's spirit, and helping men and women see their value beyond simple validation. If I talked about the spirit, but Kevin talked about the material, then the combination of those two ideals in moderation could bring about a very powerful person. That's why I think that he was needed. Not just as a signal boost to the problems of relationships men and women are having, but because he had ideas that challenged us to grow and be better. Whether it was his harsh words or even, in my opinion, silly idea of high-value men cheating, having an opponent, or better yet rival, or even ally who sees the world differently is what causes us to grow. Kevin wasn't simply a man who only bashed. If you listened, he was a man who tried to inspire and wanted to see black people prosper.
Men, as black men, deserve to be valued. Black men, you are worthy. You have done great things in the last 20 or 30 years. You've taken your image back from cops, deadbeat dads, and everything else. You stepped up to the challenge, and this is your time. This is your time. The gender war is over. Average at best happened in 2021. That is over. 2022, we're going into it. Self-awareness is sexy. Men are going to show the work, and women are going to show their worth. We're going to move forward. And if you want to move forward together with us, men are there waiting for you. Men are there waiting for you. But you're going to earn your spot, because he has to earn his value.
A video my friends and I watched even inspired me. He told us that we deserve to sit at the table being the finer things in life, or more importantly than the materialism, we deserve the respect that our merits grant us.
No way I'm supposed to be in this little bitty high-dollar organization. My work proved that I belong there. My results, my outcomes proved that I belong there. But you know what had to actually also prove it? My mindset. I didn't get mad, I didn't get angry. I checked her in the appropriate way, and I remembered that. I'm not going to ever let anybody make me feel as though I don't belong. And that is what I see far too often with black men. We don't want to go to places, these upper echelon places, because you're afraid that you don't belong. There's a fear there that you don't belong, that some shit like that, some fuck shit's gonna happen. Well, let me tell you something. Your ancestors built this country. This country is what it is because of ADOS, because of the slave trade. We know the history of this country. There's not a place in this country where we don't belong. So I walk in everywhere like I belong. If I have the credentials, if I have what everybody else has, I'll have what everybody else has. Let me say that again. If I have what everybody else has, I'll have what everybody else is having.
Yet, despite the inspiring words Kevin had in public and in private according to those close to him, the opinion of many black women and even black men is to disrespect him and lambaste him even on his deathbed. Many tweets claim apathy, some even a bit happy it seems to have him die, others outright mocking the way he died, which, to be fair, humor is a way many people express their grief, but this was not an example of such. Kevin Samuels is dead. Why are people mad because black women are not sad about his death? He hated and belittled us every chance he got. He made a career off it, and yet died being everything he projected onto us women. The way I see it, the man hated himself. Kevin Samuels is dead. I won't relish in his death, but I can't ignore the irony that he died alone. Sending my deepest condolences to the men who are going to feel like they lost their daddy today. The irony of Kevin Samuels making a career out of telling black women that they'd die single and alone, yet that's how he died. Not celebrating, But be careful how you treat people when you're alive. Rip to him. He was with a woman who said he fell out on top of her. A woman he allegedly met the night before. Wonder if he thought she was leftovers. Quote, "You are a sick person if you're celebrating Kevin Samuels' death." Me, Kevin Dead Samuels, made a career out of mocking black women and having a circle jerk with other sad, pathetic, fatherless, desperate men. And y'all want me to, checks notes, mourn his death? Nah. Fuck your feelings. We're glad he's dead. I don't believe Kevin Samuels is dead, for the record. But me not feeling bad if he is doesn't mean I'm, quote, celebrating it. He went out of his way to be cruel. We are not required to mourn virtues he didn't show. And asking black women, of all people, to show tact is audacious. I didn't realize asking black women to have honor was audacious, but Kevin Samuels was never one of us. He showed incredibly treasonous behavior that poisoned the community. I swear, up is down and down is up when it come to y'all nignogs. He was a cokehead who hated black women. He didn't live by his own methodology. He divided black men and women and used his platform to manipulate and disrespect naive people. Let's call it what it is, fam. We lost nothing. IDKY people having the opinion, quote, "If you glad Kevin Samuels might be dead, then you're weird," quote. Everything I saw about that man was him being misogynistic, fatphobic, and anti-black, and he just constantly perpetuated harmful rhetoric and bigotry to incels. Who cares either way, TBH. Kevin Samuels had some disagreeable takes, but this man degraded and berated women all day, calling them useless, ugly, saying they're old, can't live without a man, etc. A disagreeable take is I don't want completely free healthcare for all, not hatred of a group of people. If a known white supremacist died randomly, black men would not think twice about celebrating his death. Black women do not have to, quote, show respect for anyone, especially Sir Kitten Heels. Kevin Samuels using race science on black women. Yeah, rest in piss. He was a terrible human being. All I can say about Kevin Samuels is if you spend your time disrespecting people in life, don't be surprised at how people disrespect you in death. No matter how cruel it may be, the legacy you leave behind will be known by the fruit you bore while you were here. It's not lost on me how someone could think Kevin's death is a bit ironic, at least on its surface, claiming that some older woman would die alone and that for him to die in the arms of a stranger would certainly cause some of us to perk our ears up. However, Kevin very clearly had double standards for men and women. I'm not sure he ever thought he was going to be married again, while the promiscuity is, again, another thing I disagree with Kevin on. I can say with certainty it's not ironic at all that this is how he died, but there is something we could learn from that I will revisit at the end. Reading some of these tweets upset me a bit, but one in particular really convinced me to make this video. She said, Kevin Samuels made a career off of bashing women and upholding oppressive gender standards, and y'all want us to take the high road when we found out he passed away. To which I replied before I was blocked, yes, because honor and integrity goes beyond our feelings. That's what it means to be virtuous. You're supposed to be better than your enemies, not worse. To honor someone does not mean you have to agree with them. It doesn't even mean you have to like them generally or at all. But what it does mean is that you have to give them the same consideration and doubt you'd give yourself and others you respect. Honor exists beyond our feelings. It causes you to put your feelings aside to do what's right by others, even when you don't want to, even when it's hard. Honor and integrity go hand in hand, one being how you treat others, and one being how you treat yourself. Kevin was inflammatory, but does that mean one should be happy or mock him because they disagreed? I certainly don't think so. I don't think anyone should be comfortable being so cruel. Kevin never hurt anyone physically. He wasn't an interdimensional time-hopping dragon. He wasn't a symbiote causing mayhem. He wasn't even mean just for the sake of being mean. He was abrasive and harsh. Should that be enough to make you hated? I mean, it will, but should that be enough to not show respect to an enemy? Was Kevin truly an enemy to these women who tweeted all this stuff to begin with?
I need to really say this. I take no particular pride or pleasure in doing shows like this because I know it triggers certain black women. I know they do. I know some of them get pissed. I've heard women on YouTube saying things that they don't watch the show end to end. And I'm not gonna, and that's not gonna change anything, because there are far more women and far women who are listening. And who are the recipients? The women who listen end to end and are saying, well, you've changed my life, you've helped me look at this way or that way. Those women are benefiting. And guarantee when those women come into contact with men doing something, they all benefit. We're better off working with each other, trying to understand one another. You know, none of us are perfect. Certainly not me. I ain't shit. I got a lot of problems. It's like anybody else. We all got issues. But just like Ice Cube, when the brother steps up to do something, support. Find ways to support. Even if you have an issue with something it's doing, can you find 4 or 5 things about it that you like before you start off with the one thing you don't like? Because you cannot keep painting black men in this ain't shit box. They don't all fit there. And brothers are starting to push back and say, no, 51% of us are single and childless and 64% are in the middle class. They're here. Can you interact with them just in a peaceful, civil way? If you never get married and never have kids, can you have a higher quality of life? Can you just be happy? Can you stop walking through life with your hands up ready to fight the reflection of you, the opposite sex reflection of you? I don't walk through life looking at black women as though they're my enemy. And I would hope that for the black women who this applies, you stop walking through life assuming that black men are somebody to challenge, somebody to overcome, to struggle against. We don't need that.
Ultimately, if Kevin truly desired these women to live and die alone, he wouldn't have needed to say anything. These women are doing everything right to remain alone and bitter, and never trying to improve, if not their outer beauty, which is a bit unimportant in my opinion, or their inner beauty, and recognizing the value that both men and women share. They're the ones that are ultimately going to be suffering. If Kevin truly wanted you guys to suffer and never be married, all Kevin ever had to do was nothing. Again, I don't think Kevin did everything right, but because I have honor, I can see the good he has done. There was a tweet that I felt the need to challenge. It reads, if you're disturbed by the irreverence paid to Kevin Samuels' death, remember this. You write your own eulogy every day by how you live and treat people. When you die, the only thing people will do is read it back to you. If this is the case, why then are there so many people praising Kevin? During my anti-feminist days, I would often say that Lacey Green was my greatest adversary. Not because I hated her personally, but because I believed everything she said did nothing but hurt people at the end of the day, no matter how sweet her words were. Yet, despite my disdain for her, when she and Lauren Chin had their spat all those years ago, it was I who defended her, despite my disdain towards her for years. I've made many responses to Lacey Green, but if she died tomorrow, I wouldn't be happy about it. I've done several responses to Anna Akana, who again, I think in some areas has done more harm than good. I still wouldn't be happy if she died. And if Anna Kasparian died tomorrow, well, I honestly don't think anything of value would be lost, but that's not the point. The point is that death of an enemy on the internet, of all places, should never be celebrated or filled with apathy. For me, I would only feel sadness that someone who could have done something good for us was lost. Much in the same way even now I feel about Kevin, who did do a lot of good for many people. He may not have been the nicest person on stream sometimes, but there are many moments where his kindness for people did shine through. Kevin was more than sound clips and mean words. He was a person who was trying to do the best he could with what he had, particularly for black men and women. It was clear to me that all Kevin wanted was for all of us to succeed. I mean, if he didn't want that, he was already rich and successful. He could have done nothing and still lived his lifestyle. In the end, I don't think you have to like Kevin, but honor for your opponent should compel you to see the person for who they truly are. Even I never thought Lacey was evil and cruel. I never once thought that any of the bedroom feminists I responded to really wanted the world to be a worse place. I didn't think Philosophy Tube was a gross monster, despite his sophistry only leading people astray. And I never once thought Kevin was a mean, bitter bastard that just wanted us to suffer. Once again, I didn't agree with Kevin on everything, and I think there are plenty of ways to criticize him. But we should, all of us, never be happy that people die, especially not because they were mean on the internet. There is one final tweet I think we could all learn from. I hate the fact that Kevin Samuels died in the arms of a woman who barely knew him. Brothers, I encourage you to invest in healthy relationships or maybe even a wife. You don't want your life in the hands of a one-night stand. While someone could say, we all technically die alone and blah 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 blah, the point is clear. When you're on your deathbed, you're going to want to have the people you love close to you. So in your final moment, you're surrounded by the people you've touched and held close. Kevin didn't get to have that. But if there's anything we can take from his life and words, how about we make it this? Kevin didn't get to have that, but perhaps his legacy can make it so that you, viewer,